What's up guys, Mitchell Watts with Town & Country TV, and today we are in the middle of Arkansas at a Love's gas station. We are on our way to the Bronco Super Celebration West in Colorado, and we thought this would be a good opportunity for me to show you what it's like to drive this Bronco 1,400 miles in one sitting. And the first thing I want to talk about is this is the first time we've had to get gas since we left. So according to Waze, we've driven 286 miles so far from the dealership to where we are in Arkansas, but my odometer says 252 miles. I've got the exact numbers saved on my phone, so let me make sure that I don't mess those up. Yeah, Waze says 286 miles and the odometer says 252 miles. So because this vehicle started life with just a normal Badlands with 33-inch tires, now that we've upgraded it to these 37s, you are looking at 34 miles off on a single tank of gas. So that's interesting to note. And it's also interesting to note the fuel economy that we've gotten. Inside this vehicle, they're saying I'm getting right at 13.9, 14 miles per gallon. But keep in mind, because the speedometer is off, that means I'm getting actually a little bit better gas mileage than what you see there. So without further ado, let's go ahead and hop back in the vehicle, and we're going to kind of show you some of the things and talk about some of the things, the pros and cons of driving the all-new Bronco on long-distance road trips. The first thing that I don't like about the Bronco is going to be the tank size. So as I mentioned to you, we just got through driving 286 miles as the way Waze says. We got it down to I think like 35 miles until empty. And as you can see, it only holds 19 gallons. So that's guessing that we're looking at roughly a 20-gallon tank. Coming out of a Raptor with a 36-gallon tank, that is one thing that is a definite downside with the Bronco is the tank size. So let's do this. Let's go ahead and hop back on the road, and I'm going to show you something that I get asked a whole lot, and that is about the noise of this soft top. Good news is we brought our decibel meter, so we're going to kind of give you some idea what that sounds like. All right, so we're about halfway through the road trip so far, and I'm doing the current speed limit, which is 65 miles an hour, and that's according to the actual speed, not off of the incorrect speed because I haven't recalibrated the speedometer, but actually going 65 miles an hour. I want to pause for a second and let you hear what it sounds like with the soft top. By the way, this is the microphone, so I wanted you to kind of hear what's going on. Most of the stuff that you're hearing is stuff that I inflicted upon myself. Mud terrain tires, you hear those tires. Had I had the factory tires on here, the BFG ATKO2 tires, almost all of that noise would be gone. There's a little bit of rattling going on around in the back, but that's probably because I've got those Max Trax running boards that are probably rattling around. It has nothing to do with the top. You can sometimes hear when a car passes you or a big vehicle passes you, you can hear it a little bit more than you would if it was a hard top, but by and large this soft top is significantly quieter than one would expect. And so without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at the decibel meter and see how many decibels it is while driving the speed limit on this current road in Missouri. And so yeah, you're looking at what, 60? Okay, so I'm significantly louder than what the decibel meter is reading off. So what does that tell you? That a normal conversation can easily be had inside this vehicle. In fact, you've probably seen another video that we made where I test drove the base model and used the Bluetooth system while I was driving down the interstate with the top down. And so I have absolutely no questions and no concerns that not only can you have a conversation with the person right next to you, but you'll easily even be able to have a conversation with someone over the Bluetooth system, which is what Ford calls their sync system. So very, very well done as far as the interior noise. Now, I will notice and want to point out to you guys that there is a noticeable, not a bulge, the opposite of a bulge. When you're looking at the rear or the actual soft top itself, you can see where that soft top is actually caving in a little bit. I'm assuming that's a normal thing because I don't hear any wind noise. I don't hear it flopping back and forth. I've heard some people say about the Jeep Wrangler that you can hear the soft top flopping in the wind. That I have not heard one time at all while driving any of the 1,600 miles that I've put on this particular Bronco myself. So as far as the soft top is concerned, if you're concerned about the road noise, as long as you don't do something dumb and put a really, really loud tire on there, I think you'll be fine. All right, guys, so the very first day of driving from Alabama to Colorado was a successful one. We drove roughly 1,200 miles in one day. In fact, I've got the stats right here on my phone. I'm gonna pull these up because I don't want to misquote anything. But yeah, as you can see right there on the screen, we drove 1,220 miles. And yeah, we burned 77.027 gallons worth of fuel in one day. So the math right there should be on the screen for you guys. But yeah, it's interesting to note exactly what the vehicle looks like. You can see the front end. We're at a little car wash here because this is what just literally one day's worth of driving you know, from Alabama to Colorado looks like. We got a lot of work to do with this little this little car wash. Yeah, it was interesting to note that at some points we literally had to pull over to gas stations. We didn't really need gas, but I had to pull over just so I could see out of the windshield, clean that windshield off and keep moving. But it's gonna be an interesting day. I will tell you though, I wanna show you some things in the back seat of the vehicle and kind of give you an update of what we noticed. So let's take a look at the inside of the vehicle and kind of show you what we've got packed in here and what it's actually like to take this thing on a real road trip. Sorry for literally hugging over the cooler, but this is real world what we've got going on back here. We've got the rear seats folded down. And as you can see, we've got the cooler, we've got some snacks, we've got a couple of chairs here, we've got our Yankum ropes for another video that we're going to be making very, very soon. But with this folded seat down, what we realized is Josh, the guy holding the camera right now, he needed to have access to the power outlet. Well, the problem was the power outlet, while you're driving down the road, with these seats down, it is nearly impossible to access the rear plug here. Now, it does fit, but getting my fat sausage fingers down in here to actually plug it up, I mean, you've really got to be a contortionist to actually have access to these outlets. So it would be nice for the second generation of the Bronco to include an extra power outlet plug up front, just forward. I know you guys watch these videos, so just a little bit of a, I guess, a request for the second generation Bronco. That would be fantastic if you guys could include a secondary plug up front like you guys do for the F-150. But all in all, you know, two people for an entire week's worth of stay, it actually fits all of the stuff just fine. I don't have any complaints there. And that is even with what you can't see. I've got the door bags, so that way if we want to take the door bags off during the Bronco Super Celebration, underneath that, let me see if I can lift this up. You can see you've got the cargo area container, so that way if we want to put something secure back there, that's that Ford Accessories Tuffy storage area, and it works out really, really well as far as being able to store stuff. I can drive with the top down, don't have to worry about somebody just reaching in, snatching and grabbing my stuff out of there. You've got that security there. So all in all, it's been a really easy trip. I mean, it was a long period of time. I mean, it's a lot of driving, but I'm actually shocked with 37s. One, the fuel economy. Two, I wasn't having to fight the entire vehicle all the way up here. That independent rear, or independent front suspension rather, has been a very, very good thing to have on long road trips. I've never owned a Jeep, but I can only imagine what it would be like to have to drive 1,200 miles in a Jeep in one day. With a quick change of scenery, we're actually at our Airbnb, but I want to talk about the front seats because this is one thing that has made the 1,200 mile trek actually doable. If you ask Josh, the passenger, he might argue with you, and here's the reason why. On the driver's seat, you actually have a lumbar support located there towards the front of the side of the vehicle, or the seat rather. You have the ability to basically take that lumbar in and out to make sure that you're comfortable. Now, these are the marine grade vinyl seats, so you really don't have power adjustable seats. Everything is manually adjusted. You have the bar right here, slide it forward and back. You have the ability to tilt it forward and back. And then here's the other thing that I actually have, I'm kind of surprised that it is as comfortable as it was, and that is because the manual adjusting seat still has the ability to raise and lower with just simple raising of this particular piece, and then if you want to lower it back down, you simply reverse that process. The reason that's so important is when you're in a car all day long, blood flow in your legs is extremely important. If you get too tired of sitting in one specific situation, you can simply pump up the seat, sit there for a couple of hours, and and then once you get tired of that, go back to the same original seat. So I will tell you, props to Ford on very comfortable front seats on a 1,200-mile trek. Now let's do this. Let's hop back in the vehicle, and we're going to drive to the very top of Pikes Peak, 14,000 feet above sea level. Let's get it. All right, so we are in the middle of Pikes Peak right now, on the way up. We're at roughly 13,000 feet, if I read the last sign right. And what's crazy about this thing is the air is so thin, turbo lag is a real thing. Watch what happens. I'm gonna say my foot's on the pedal and I'm gonna stomp it, all right? Ready, set, go. That is the most wild thing, because yes, I know I've got 37s, but even though this thing has got twin turbochargers, the air is so thin that it's really, really struggling to get the air, shove it in the motor to make this horsepower. Now, when you go back and watch people racing up this mountain, you understand why they got these massive turbos, and they keep talking about you got to keep the turbos spooled up for that exact reason, because, man, it's thin air up here. All right, guys, we are at the peak of Pikes Peak. That sounded kind of weird, but we're going to roll with it. We're at the very summit of Pikes Peak, and let me tell you, I understand now why the Bronco had some turbo lag, because I legit feel a little bit different. I can feel the air is definitely a lot thinner, and you can kind of see we're at the Pikes Peak, 14,115 feet, which is pretty wild, and it's awesome. I actually met a couple of fans up here just a second ago, and everybody has been absolutely gawking over the Bronco. So if I had a chance to meet you guys today, thank you so much. Appreciate you guys tagging us in it. I do want to say though, we've announced it in a previous video, but we are actually giving a Bronco away, a 4-door full-size Bronco. We're going to customize this thing before we give it away, and we're going to give it away when we hit 300,000 subscribers. So make sure you hit that subscribe button with the bell notification, because we've also got some fantastic content coming your way, specifically from the Bronco Super Celebration West, which is in Buena Vista, Colorado. Depending on when you're watching this video, make sure you hit us up. I will actually be there on Wednesday, Thursday, and most of the day on Friday. I will be traveling back to Alabama on Saturday, but if you were there, make sure you stop me, make sure you say hello, and let's grab a picture together. So with that, I guess that concludes this particular video, more like a travel vlog and kind of how does a Bronco do from Alabama all the way to 14,000 feet. Guys, thank you so much for watching this video. If you haven't already done so, make sure you are subscribed to the channel with that bell notification so you don't miss a single video, especially now that we're giving away a Bronco. Peace!